Hello and welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I am your host, Paul Vibes, local motivational speaker. Our show is all about spirituality, self-development, connection, wellness. Please be sure to subscribe and follow us on a variety of different social media pages. If you know somebody that would be a great guest to our show or sponsor, please reach out. I hope you enjoy the episode. Everybody, Paul Vibes here. Welcome to another Zoom podcast. I got the one, the only Matt from Moverz. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Good. I know we've been talking about doing this podcast for a while, and obviously the circumstances aren't the best, but we learn to adapt. You know, when you make moves and you're an entrepreneur, you got to learn to kind of roll with the punches. So how's it been with you guys? How you guys been rolling with the punches going on? How you guys doing?
Yeah, just like that. Like you said, we're still moving. So, but first it was it was getting over the shock of it. So I think, like I said, at this point, it's now become a little bit more acceptable to, or it's more accepting to be like, all right, well, I'm going to be at home for a couple of weeks now, and once that first wave passed, I think people are a little bit more inclined to get back out there and be more proactive and make some moves. So
yeah, I mean, it's a good time to use it. It's a good opportunity to kind of like stay home and do what you got to do. And for you guys, for a lot of your work, you guys can do it from the comfort of your house too. I know a lot of the events you do, obviously, out in the community. But before we get ahead of ourselves, for the people watching this who do not know what the heck a mover is, what's the elevator? How do you explain? Because you guys are so dynamic. You guys are always doing new things, and it's kind of hard to put you in a box. But how do you describe it to people, like what you guys do?
Yeah, I like to call it more of a mindset and a lifestyle. So it's the now nonprofit side that we opened up to it is empowering people to take action towards their passion. And I found that when I started doing that, it helped bring up a lot of fulfillment in my life. And you get this different energy about you, especially when you can use that to serve others. And it became contagious. And I just wanted to vibe with more people around that. And also eliminate
vibe. Good word.
Yeah, you know it. You toss moves, I'll toss vibes, man.
Yeah,
and the second part was eliminating regret later in life. I was privileged enough to work with a lot of older people in what holds me over part-time. I do some personal training, but I also volunteered my time at an adult daycare. And when I got to diving into that, I noticed a lot of potential regrets that they were just like, don't live a life that you want to regret later. Like, I'm not into it. So that perspective was just such an eye opener, and always carrying that around with me. And whatever we did, there's a great community that can come from that. And especially during times like now, or at any point, it's really important to have someone or something to, feel like we're in this together type feeling. And it really boosts the confidence to keep us moving. So you don't move, you die, right? So
yeah, you got to keep moving. If you don't use it, you lose it, like they say. And you guys, what I love about you guys is the core group of Moverz. It's not just about supporting you guys. You are open. You support me. You support other people in the community. You're always open to new ideas and new projects. I actually met you guys originally at the STATTFest, which is
That's
awesome.
right.
Is that still being worked on? How's that going right now?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So, I'm comfortable talking about it. It's,
I just want to say before we go to the STATTFest, I want to say I met you in person at the networking event you guys did. I think that was in Babylon, right?
That was the first time we met. Yeah,
that was a super cool event. And I was telling you some ideas, and you were so present and like down with it. I know you still are, and life kind of will get regroup and talk about those ideas. But I just remember how supportive everybody was. And there's no fee. And a lot of networking groups, as you know, there's a fee and a charge. Yeah. You guys are very casual. They're people in their sweatpants. And these are people that are killing it in different areas of their lives. And I love how you allowed everyone to go around and kind of just share what your passion is. They may not even be running a business. They may just have an idea. And you wanted everybody to go around and share that. And I thought that was freaking awesome. So keep it up.
Thanks.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I think moments like that, it allows people to feel comfortable to talk about the greats and not so great pieces of their lives, and having those little puzzle pieces that you're able to connect with someone with.
Yes.
It's more than just I'm so-and-so who does this. Like, you're a full human being.
No, you don't put labels on, and that's who you do. So much more. Exactly.
Yeah, and That's exactly right. Yeah, there's no label. So yeah, all free, because like any human connection should be, in my opinion, should be free. I understand that there's services out there, obviously, but it's also an environment that you can openly talk about that. You could say, hey, like, for a further in-depth expertise, it should be okay to talk about, your business. I should know
Absolutely.
how you get paid. Some people are sometimes weird about that, when developing a relationship, for it to be okay to talk about either a business, a passion, or just be friendly, So
Yeah, I think there's a balance between that, because in the one end of the spectrum, there's people that that's the first thing they go over. I charge this or I do this,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
too much the opposite, where it's like, listen, man, I'm just trying to get to know you. You don't have to. I'm not going to buy anything yet. I just want to get to know who you are.
yeah. Who am I buying
And
from?
exactly.
Yeah,
Who you buy. So back to what you were talking about, the STATTFest. So explain. So you do networking and you do the events, kind of. So explain to me how the
yeah.
STATTFest came to be, and how it's part of what you guys do as the Moverz group.
Yeah, yeah. So Moverz is the community. It's now the community side. So that will always be this uplifting, supportive, encouraging energy that you can go to, that you can collaborate with. And we wanted to showcase all the talents and the people within that community, because there's so much talent here. Right now we're on Long Island. We have intentions to make moves, and bring this other
Everywhere.
places. But first we wanted to, first I got to get the t-shirt in there.
Oh, nice shirt, like the light
Always
bulb.
rep your brand. Always rep your
Yeah,
brand.
yeah,
That's
got
number
it, got
one.
it back there.
You got it. You
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. And yeah, so it started off with the networking. It started anything was just like, hey, I don't fully know what the grasp of this thing is, but I know I just have this really powerful energy that I just want to connect with people and see what can come about. So it started off with that, and as we got to grow, we saw how much talent there was, and we wanted to make STATFest this day that can showcase all those talents. So it was basically the Moverz Gala, which we could have easily called it, or this, Moverz event or something like that. But we figured we wanted to make it its own vibe, because people could connect a little, or there's a better understanding of what the components of a music festival are compared to something as big and, I guess, ideological or philosophical around, having this, this energy of movers and this lifestyle, So I didn't want to immediately come out of the gates and be like, hey, here's this new mindset, not new, but, this mindset and lifestyle that, I'm essentially preaching, but here's a way for us to embed that meaning and portray it in something a little bit more understandable, like a music festival.
Yeah, and it
So
was awesome. It's a lot of fun. I went there with one of my special needs clients, and I gotta say, before I really
yeah,
connected with you and knew you guys, and
he's
I
all,
gotta say, he had a blast. I'll post a picture of it in the video, but we had such a blast. I met Radiate Positivity Project, which I
great.
ended up giving out stickers to when I went to Envision, and all these
Nice.
connections. You meet even at that networking event that you guys hosted. I'm still connected with Melissa and all these other
Yeah,
different people, and so many talented people that I've met through your guys' events. And I know you and we talked about some ideas that we're going to touch base on. And I feel like
yeah.
exactly what it's about. It's like, it's whether it's a networking event or a music event, the whole focus is bringing people together.
Yep, that's right. And that's the root of it, and the energy of it all was just let's just bring people together. And there's something about having that heart around it that it's just going to lead to everything else that you need in life. Because at the end of it, like, you're just going to want to be around the people,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's what it got to show. And it wasn't just the talent showcase of it, as much as it was the community building around it, and for it to now be a platform and a megaphone for all of those talents as well. And that's what
Talk to us a little bit for the people who either went there or haven't been to a StatFest. Who was some of the talent you had? How did it go? How was the outcome? Did you
Oh
enjoy
yeah,
it? Tell us about it.
overall it was a huge learning experience,
I'm sure.
and it was just a whole experience in itself. We've never hosted anything near as close as that big, or even been a part of anything that big, besides maybe attending a festival. But it's more than just a festival. It just encompassed so many
Mm-hmm.
different vibes to it. And so whether it's this specific festival day, but it was also a charity. It was also, a brand awareness. It was also a community building. Like I said, it was also did good for the community around it and the local town of Farmingdale where we had it. But STATFest stands for summertime all the time. And that summertime vibe we wanted to take that moment, and we all have these moments where it's like you have that memory of like, wow, like this is summer. This is what it feels like. It's a little bit more relaxing.
You captured that. I gotta say, the pineapples and the whole vibe.
Oh
and
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many great arts. You could tell it was local, real people. Like it wasn't overdone to the point where everything seemed commercialized. It still had that like homegrown, organic vibe, and I'm all about that. And I think you guys did a great job. It was your first year doing it, the first one, right?
Yeah, first one. Yeah,
I thought it was phenomenal. And I'm sure I can't imagine all the work that goes into it, even during it, afterwards, before, and now for the next one. But you guys did a great job. I really got to say.
Thanks. Yeah, it was our baby. We started 2018. I remember sitting there and drawing the logo in our back desk of my aunt's house. And then 9 months later, out came STATTFest, and we were just talking about like guys, like remember that day before where we like said the words like, "Holy shit, STATTFest is tomorrow!" Like everything that we've been working for is tomorrow. Like we got to that point. There was multiple points where it almost didn't happen, and we just kept moving. That's the hashtag there is keep moving and
keep it moving.
And you when you have that, you don't know. You're not supposed to know what's going to happen.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, as long as you can develop this character and this mindset or this community or something that you can feel confident in yourself that no matter what happens, that I'll keep moving. And, it depends on your work ethic and your attitude.
I agree.
Those are my two things. It's like, how can you perceive the thing that's happening to you or for you? And can you just keep working, moving forward?
That saying, life happens for you, not to you. And I think even during this time, and don't get me wrong, I think, you would agree that there's a lot of suffering and there's always a lot of challenges that go on in humanity, any time in history. And there's unfortunately a lot of suffering going on now, but there's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And I mentioned to you that I had a social worker on today, and a couple of days ago, I had like 3 or 4 over the past couple of weeks, a lot of spiritual coaches, yoga instructors, gurus, all these different types of people, meditation instructors. Nice. And we all talked about this idea that it's through our suffering and challenges that we learn, we grow, we have the opportunity to be enlightened, if you want to call it that, but just to become the best version of ourselves. And I know this is a challenging time, but how much work and how is it going for STATTFest #2? Any updates on that? How's the work going for that?
Yeah, it's going real well. So we're in a great position because we're in September. So in terms of the industry as a whole, a lot of the big major music festivals are moving to those timeframes. So that's more confirmation for us to say, hey, there seems to be some type of safe zone around September and October that other events are getting pushed to, especially of that size.
Marriages. You see a lot of marriages going pushing people to marriages, events like that. And those are big deals for people.
Yeah. Everything, everyone's birthdays and life-changing moments, and everything's going to be pushed off. And but yeah, we're moving confidently as if it's happening. So we're in still September of just around the same time as last year. And just as an industry, like we feel comfortable that we're in this place. We also, luckily enough, didn't fully launch yet, so it's not like we had any expectations to live up to or cancel
anything like that.
Yeah, nothing was put in. So it's we've pivoted now into really organizing a lot of the team meetings that we have has been around, all right, how do we make this brand something that people dive into just as a whole? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific event day. They can still engage with us online right now is the main thing.
Cool. There's a little more time now. There's a little more time, and not to put you in the spot, but we're going to get me involved somehow, throw out some motivation, some positivity. We're going to talk.
Yeah. We have plenty. It's a lot bigger this year. So
cool. And any way I could promote you guys, we're definitely going to get you on in person at least once or twice before we have the STATTFest around the yin yang table I told you about. Get your whole team. And I would love to just have a cool conversation. This is the old table. We got a new one being built, but to get your team around, and I can hug you guys and engage you guys. Like, listen, tell us, each one of you, how the journey has been for you. Now, I want to ask you in a really deep way. You see a lot of people who they have, like you said, like your motivation for the Moverz is kind of like, that feeling of knowing what it's like to be stagnant, not to go towards your goals, not to make moves. And I know for me, that's the worst feeling when I look back and I'm like, damn, I didn't follow. I was so passionate about that. Why didn't I make that happen? And with the podcast and my non-for-profit and the talks I give, that there was a switch. There was like a switch that had to be flicked on. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to make those moves. what is your advice, whether it's, you know, at your networking events or one-on-one, or you give to your friends, when you're talking to somebody that wants to make moves, that they may not have the right mindset or that motivation, or they don't know where to start? Is there any type of advice that you give, or that you've heard that you like, that you kind of instill in these different types of people?
Oh yeah. That's a good one. That is a deep
Kind
one.
of put you in the spot, you know? Like what motivates you, and how do you
Okay, I
motivate
got this
others?
charger delivered.
Charger, you got to
Yeah,
charge you.
so I think it's a perspective. I try to bring them down into um, first. I like starting off and having them open up to see what their world is like. That's one of my favorite questions: is how's your world? So a little bit different than like how are you doing. When you ask someone how's your world, this was asked to me. I forget even where or when, but it resonated so deep because it made me bring up things that were just so current in my thought process, rather than like when you say like, hey bro, how are you? Immediate response is good, you know, like, and then it ends, you know. But like when you're really trying to dive into someone, when you ask them how their world is, well, that's a lot. You know, your world can mean anything. It can mean your home life, it can mean your financial life, it can mean your emotional life, it can mean your you know, anything.
Everything.
So
Yeah.
so when you start off with that, you get this good kind of baseline of where their thought process is. It's almost like me asking like, hey, how are your thoughts right now? You know, but like if you were asked that, you'd be like, whoa, like, were you trying to get in my head or something? Like,
Oh man, you'd be a
but
good
yeah,
social worker. You'd be a good social worker.
maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I studied a lot of psychology. A lot of this was done. I did this for myself when I first graduated. I was through a very depressed time. Basically, I graduated and didn't have this 4-year degree that I didn't want to pursue. It was exercise science. Sorry, I'll plug this in real quick. But,
Plug it in, plug it in.
Cool. And exercise science. So luckily enough, I went into personal training with that, and now it allowed me to get out of my head because I had to serve other people. But yeah, going back, it's getting back into that perspective, because that was the things that I had to change about myself, was letting go of the things that I was holding on to in the past. Like, I used to think this way. I used to have all this going for me. I used to feel my passion in this. And it was that experience of accepting the first move was just like, first accept where we're at right now. Because if you're thinking ahead, you're getting yourself anxious. And if you're looking behind, you're getting depressed. You know, so it's coming back to the present moment, and learned a lot about
this guy, Eckhart Tolle.
Right?
Power now.
Power now, man. That's so convenient. That's great. And it took a while to learn that. It did not happen overnight. The switch happened where I had to, you know, get out of that thinking behind and ahead. And not to say that didn't come up again, but, you know, at least I was on a more progressive path than, you know, sitting and sulking and, you know, thinking my way out of it. Yeah. So I had to get moving. So literally, like, the first thing I did was, like, I started with my body, and I studied what's called bioenergetics, where it's basically like you move your body in ways that are opposite of the same postures and mannerisms of feeling depressed and anxious. So you do the opposite. Like, if you're feeling anxious, uptight in here, well, you got to bring yourself down to here. And if you're feeling depressed and forward-headed and down, well, you got to do something a little bit more expressive and open up.
Love that structure.
And it's a great one, yeah. When you open up, and what I discovered was the opposite of depression is expression. So I wasn't expressing myself enough, and that's why I feel like I slipped into my
the victory position, right? Like, hands in the air.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Winning, get out there and
making moves,
and feel that empowerment. So yeah, my advice would be, watch the perspective, because first you find out what really tie in, feel like where where you're at, write it out where you feel you're at, and then get your perspective around it. Well, you're very young, you know. So for me, it was like, I got time, you know. That was like a big switch for me. It was like, damn, I could run at this for 5 years and screw up and still be 26, 27. Which
very
is
Gary V. Very Gary V. You talk a lot about that. I agree, man. And I think even if you're 40, it's all about perspective, right? Because that perspective,
everything. Still young.
It doesn't matter if you have that perspective. If you don't have enough time, you got to rush. It doesn't matter what age you are. That's only going to cause you problems. But if you are able to be at ease in the present moment and just do your best, no matter what age you are, because you could be a 20-year-old anxious and crazy and driving yourself nuts, but that's not going to help you accomplish your goals. You know, and I look at the Moverz group. You guys are always, I'm not saying you guys don't have the stressful times at moments. I'm sure you do, but every time I meet you guys are always present with us. You're present with me whenever I've met you. But I know behind that, you got a million different projects going on, but you still take the opportunity to listen to my ideas and my projects. And you're like, oh, I know someone that can help you with this. Or, you know, you're always willing to network and help other people with their moves, which I think is important.
That's right. Because that's what I wanted personally when I first started anything. Was like, damn, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to do any of this. I can look it up. Like, I know how, but like, I don't understand. Like, I didn't have any experience, you know, like everyone knows how to do everything. You can Google it. You can Google anything and find out. But the difference now is, are you putting yourself in situations and environments that can have you embed that information? Like, I now looked up, like, you know, when you first start doing anything, I looked up like how to be successful or how to build a business or a community or something. And I know how to do it, but until you go through the motions of it, you don't know. You don't, like, you got to put work in. Like when they say like, oh, it's hard work. No, it's like, you got hard work to put in. And I wanted to create an environment that you can get that at like a low stake level. Like there's no, like, less risk, you know what I mean? Like, basically, like, you know, you can experiment and find new things about yourself within this community. You know, that, you know, you can feel comfortable doing with, you know, it's, basically we help eliminate a lot of the fears that you may be.
Yes. Like, you don't have to go to one of your network groups and spend thousands of dollars, or you don't need to come to one of those groups and wear a suit and tie and a briefcase and be all serious and stressed about that. Cause that could turn a lot of people away. But guess what? If people are interested in that suit and tie networking groups where everyone's very serious, they can find that. But I think what you're offering a niche that there's not many groups like that or people like that. And what's cool is you accept people. If they want to walk in a suit and tie and a Lamborghini, you know what I'm saying? The point is, that's what they want to do. They can come in a helicopter for all you care, right? No, just kidding. But you know what I mean? Is you welcome all people. And I remember, I just want to throw it out there because, you know, it's all about bringing it out into the world and manifesting. You know, I shared an idea with you because I'm a motivational speaker, and I was like, wow, I didn't even think that we could network and connect because I thought you'd doing the music festivals. And you're like, no, man, like, I'm down to share ideas. And I was sharing an idea with you of creating a song and video that's related to positivity and transformation and making moves. And I wanted this song, this rap, to show this kid go through a transformation and go from being someone alone and bullied to then finding his passion and being there to support other people within the school. And this is a video that I would want to play before I speak at schools on overcoming challenges. And you were so down with it, and I know we got to chat about it, but I remember talking to you about that idea, and you were so supportive, and you continue to be. But you guys are just that type of people where people can come up with their ideas, their passions, and no matter what scale or what it's about, you're willing to be supportive and kind of share your connections. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, thanks. And I want it to be at every level too. Like right now I'm working with what we got, you know, right now we're on this pretty similar level of, you know, but there's going to be a day where it could get big. And how do you still, when someone new comes in, how can they still get that same comforting, you know, at my level experience, you know, because I love the peer-to-peer because I find that a little bit more influencing because I can relate a little bit better, you know, so I want to be able to have everyone to get that same feel. You know, same thing with STATTFest. I wanted to keep and have that local level feel, you know, where it doesn't get commercialized. And, you know, those are our values. Those are always our intent because it's that rawness that you'll just always connect with past just, you know, a product or, you know, brand or whatever, you know? So, that's great that you're in tune with that and recognize that. It's definitely something that, you know, we haven't publicly found the words yet to like put out and say, hey, we're Moverz and, you know, you can come to here for this. Maybe that's something I got to work on, which would be great. But
we worked it out right now. It's
great.
Good though. It's good for you to hear what people like myself get in the impression. I'm glad this kind of the way that I described it kind of aligns with your mission for the group. And I think you're right though. It's important not to label it so much, put it in a box, because you guys are growing as individuals and as a community. You know, you take it slow.
Right. Yeah, and that's the first thing too. I guess another piece of advice is like listen to what all the YouTube videos say. Just just go out and just start making a move, start doing it, and and eventually you'll uncover it yourself. Well, actually, one of my favorite words that I use all the time is a progressive realization, and that's when you start taking action towards something, and as you're doing that, you start realizing things along the way, and and it's that progressive realization, not just a realization where you're sitting back and like, oh, I realized this based after all the pieces I connected. It's a progressive realization. So that means you have to keep moving and keep uncovering things. So really be curious. That's one of my favorite things.
Don't be afraid to mess up a little bit, like you said. You know?
Oh yeah. And I wanted to have a place, because that's a huge fear why people don't go after what they do. They're afraid to mess up. There's so many of these fears holding back. What are people going to think of me? So if this is an environment that we can create, or a vibe, or a energy, I don't care if it's called Moverz. It's just something. I don't know what to call it. I had to call it something, you know? So an energy that's of that comfort of like, yo, like if you're really that afraid or you don't know where to go or something, this can be your first move. So
good.
It's all play of words too, which is awesome.
It's good stuff. And the Moverz, it totally aligns with my brand as the Paul Vibes, you know, as a speaker and as someone who hosts the podcast. Same thing, you know, my last name is Scancarelli, and no one's going to look up me as a speaker at paulscancarelli.com, but Vibes was something naturally, like I'm sure the word moves, like making moves came to you. For me, Vibes came because people in my special needs organization would say, you got good vibes, and I would hear that word a lot. And then someone said, Paul Vibes, he's got good vibes. And I'm like, wait a minute, that kind of works.
Ding.
I looked up Paul Vibes, wasn't taken, and I made it happen.
Hey.
Here we got my poster there, and I'm saying it's just naturally taking off. And it's funny because, like you said, don't wait. Like, start learning and learn as you go. Because my speaker, when I was talking to him, he's my friend who's a mentor of mine, and he's also a motivational speaker. I was telling him, I was like, I need to get this done first and to get that done. He's like, Paul, if you keep having that mindset of once I have this done, then I can do it, you're going to be constantly waiting. He said, go mess up, go speak, give a talk when you're not ready, you know, go call up that library and ask for that speaking gig.
Nice.
But don't do it like, okay, I'll make that move once this is done, or once I got this degree, or once I have this. It's like, just throw yourself out there, because you're going to learn lessons that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't do that.
Progressive realization. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I found there's like it's an interesting line that I still battle with myself, is like, where does the preparedness need to meet the I'm going to wait for this to happen before I can section, you know? So like, I do believe there's a level of preparedness to go out and release something like, but I think also on the other end now is there's more accepting of this raw feel. You know, people are looking for something real and raw now,
genuine,
you know? And I think that wave kind of passed, you know, with different levels of either platforms or, I guess, just a collective mindset of people, or the way the world's moving of, you know, you don't have to fake it. You know, you can spot someone who's faking it, you know, it's a different vibe, you know, like you can tell. But like, for example, the guys that come in with suits, you could tell who doesn't want to wear that suit, but you can also tell when someone comes in with a suit and they absolutely love it. And,
they own it. Yeah.
You know, then you know, like, he genuinely loves his suit. He loves that. So like, you can't take that away from him and tell him no. Like, it's not the suit that is the reason why. It's what they're doing behind that suit that they don't like. Mm-hmm. And that's just another version of masks that we hold. And
absolutely,
I think, you know, breaking those down and find the versions of finding yourself within this journey comes from breaking old molds and. You know, but that comes from like, you have to move towards it. You know, it's not going to happen from sitting here and thinking about it. You know, you gotta go out and make your moves. So I can't avoid it, but
no, I love it. I think it's great. I think that's so true. I think that we talked a lot of the good stuff, and I think that every time I've come to whether it's an event you're doing or a networking event, I always walk away with so many new connections and people that are willing to share their passions, but also listen. It's a very like good exchange, a good energy exchange. It's not just like, what can you do for me? It's like, we're all in this together vibe, and how can we support each other? And we all have this. I think the thing that I noticed, the in common kind of vibe, is that we all want to move. Look, I'm putting two words together. We all want to move towards something that's bettering ourselves, right? So everyone has their own skill sets. Everyone has their own talents at these different events that you guys host. But we're all trying to move in a way like being the best version of ourselves. And that's something that I got from those events.
Cool, man. Yeah. And we're still learning too. And we're open about that. We're like, hey, like, you're going to come into this thing and it's going to be raw. We're going to mess up, but we're going to keep moving. And there's going to be a day where it's going to have, you know, the bells and whistles. But right now we're, you know, in our basements. Right now we're, you know, seemingly unprepared. It's a little raw, and we don't have the full skill sets
But
to.
it's real. It's genuine. People like that. People
Yeah,
like that.
and it's
And
great.
don't forget these roots. Don't forget
hit
where
that.
you guys come from, and obviously, and I'm sure
If
people remind you.
I could keep it like this, I'm that's the intention, is to keep that rawness, and it doesn't matter about where you're doing it. It matters about who you're doing it with.
Yeah.
So
I felt the same way.
we'll always have that,
It's
and
important. Well, it's
yeah,
funny. I wanted to add to you that, like, even when I started my organization here, the special needs community, I remember I said to myself, even though people were telling me, parents, it should be a non-for-profit so you can get donations and stuff. For me, I said to myself, okay, if I'm going to go down that route to be a non-for-profit, to get the website, to be tax exempt, my most important thing is I want to enjoy it now just as much as I don't want to look at it as I need that to be happy, because I was enjoying running my group back when it was 6 young adults planning an event at a cafe and a movie for the special needs community. And I said, if I'm going to go down that route, I want to make sure I enjoy the journey. If I ever at one point, I don't like this, then I'm not going to go down that route. So that, I think, for anybody in the development, whether they're starting a non-for-profit, a business, or just a project they're working on, I think enjoyment of it. Of course, you got to work hard and there's challenges, but for me, the most important thing is to enjoy the journey, even when it's 4 or 5 people. Like, I'm sure you had times of your Moverz was 4 or 5 people, and now you've obviously expanded.
Yeah, it was 3. It started off with 3. It was me, Ryan, and Steve. Ryan's my cousin, so it was easy to start with him. But as soon as they graduated college, they're a year younger than me. They were like, "Yo, like, what do we do? Like, I don't want to work for anyone, and I want to start building my life." And we just started with us 3, and we just made a video, and just started reaching out to people, and one thing led to the next, and next thing you know, you have a music festival.
You are.
But yeah, in terms of, I like what you said about the nonprofit side, because we opened up a section of us now that's nonprofit, and we haven't asked for a single donation. And the reason why is, 1, we want to have the infrastructure for it, but 2, it was more for a move to show that we're not in it for the money. Like, it's like the first touch that we have with someone. If we didn't I guess we came across just like this, just very genuine and raw and real. We want to help people, but when you're doing that as a business, sometimes people's first wall is like, all right, like, are you trying to get something out of me, like, by saying these things, So we wanted to just up out front be like, yo, nonprofit, I do not own this. Like, when you're a nonprofit, you don't own it. You put a board together, like, you found it, but you have to get that board together, the similar mission and similar vibe. And but that act right there just shows that, all right, you gave this thing up so that it can serve the world. And donations will be welcomed in the future, but the first touch, I wanted it to be that raw, genuine, like, oh, if it's nonprofit, they're not in it for
and it's transparent. You want to be transparent. What's cool is, even when I did it, it wasn't even my idea. What's cool is when you have the community, I'm sure you have other people that you should create part of this as a non-for-profit so you could do more good for the community. But even in my case, it was similar. It wasn't even my idea. The community, the parents wanted to donate, and other organizations wanted to donate to my group. And that was before it was a non-for-profit. And as you know, it's very tricky to get tax exempted to get donations when you're not a non-for-profit. It's kind of uncomfortable, right, to accept money and do that. So I would love, I don't know if you've had a donor. I would like to be one of the first donors. It's not much, but I would like to donate to you guys if possible.
Oh man, vice versa, for sure. Yeah.
I'd love to. It would be just a little bit, I'm lucky. Not a lot of people, as you know, even, some of my hours got cut back, but, as we know, a lot of people are very unfortunate during this time. They don't have a job right now. They got let go. And I, during this period, I have to be, it's all about perspective, like you said before. And, while I may not be working as much as I did before, if I had some money to support an amazing group like you guys, hell yeah, why not? But before we go and close up in a little bit, I want to ask you 2 things before we, go into where people can find you, the social media pages. I want you to share how being a mover, this journey you've been on, in a few sentences or so, however long you want, how has it changed your life? Like, how do you, I know that's it's a big question, but how do you feel as an individual it's impact your existence, your spot here on this planet? Like, have you changed as an individual?
Oh yeah, 100%. This was the result of change, and it's um, it was I was the shy guy. I was the one in the back of the
You?
class. Oh yeah, didn't say a word. I'll never forget it, and it's now in my speech, which maybe you can help me with too. I want to do some speaking as well. But a piece of it is my journey up to this point, because no one knew me growing up, and that's because I never wanted to be known. I was just shy, and there's just one exercise in class that I forget what grade it was. I think it was middle school or early high school or something. And everyone went around the room and they wrote down traits of every single person in the room. And 90% of the feedback that I got, I don't know whose idea this was either. 90% of the feedback I got was shy and quiet. And then I took that though, and that information, like I already knew it. Like I'm like one of those people that don't speak until spoken to, or I was, I guess. Um, and that was from a lot of fear. I was afraid of, like, I don't know, I'm still uncovering it, but afraid of messing up, afraid of looking weird. And, you know, you grow up and, you know, you have your adolescence ages and stuff like that. Um, and so, but I labeled myself with that. I was like, oh, I'm the shy guy. I'm the quiet guy. And it was so hard for me to break out of my shell. And this allowed me to do that heavily. Like at home, I'm more like this, you know, but out there I wasn't. And like, it was just like so uncomfortable all the time of just like not being able to allow myself to express myself and get out there. And in terms of a life change, like way more purpose and meaning, I feel, and fulfillment and, you know, a reason, you know, now or that I've given myself to get up. You know, I was the video game player, and nothing against video games, but, you know, that was, I used it more as an outlet rather than something that I went to enjoy, you know, after I accomplished something, you know, or, you know, and so I felt more progress in that world where I wasn't here, but, you know, it was
It's an escape. It's an escape.
it was an escape. Yeah. I treated it wrong, you know? So, um, so yeah, it was, I went from shy to not necessarily some extroverted, but definitely more expressive and, more expressing, yeah, of myself and still working on it. You know, I'm every day it's just like, yo, how can I take this at home vibe that I can just have my silly moments and bring it out there, comical, be inspirational, also be and show my low, you know, and
It's real. People like that. You show your real emotions. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not all happy go fun games at all. You know, like there's mental battles that you fight yourself every day. You know, and to be able to be open about that, that allowed it to force me to go after it. You know, I use fear now as, instead of a divertant, I use it as a compass. So it's a mindset switch that happened to me. Was, all right, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid to do right now? Well, I have to do that because I'm afraid of it. And if I don't confront it, it's going to grow into something that, you know, is going to cripple me, you know, and I don't want to get to that point. So if I can practice recognizing it early on, then it would save me a lot of time and heartache and emotion maybe later, you know? So, yeah, fear's my new compass, and it's not, you know, silly fear, you know, I'm not, you know, jumping around or anything. But it's more like, you know, strategic. It's just like, yeah,
internal.
all right, I'm afraid to speak in front of these people. I should probably do it so I can say I did it. And
Yes, that's
rip
the
the
best
Band-Aid.
feeling. That's the most
Bunch of
fulfilling.
Band-Aid ripping. Yeah.
Yeah, rip it. And I gotta say, I've only known you for a few months, and I can see even a transformation you've gone just by watching your videos and your posts and seeing at these different events. And
Oh yeah.
I'm happy you've gone through this transformation. And it reminds me of mine and overcoming my own learning disability.
Cool.
And if you would have told me that in high school, I'd be doing the stuff I'm doing now. My confidence was so low at that point. And I think we've all been there, regardless of your challenges.
Yeah.
I think each one of us, especially in our adolescence, we go through the bullying, the confidence issues, the feeling of isolation, alone,
Low
and,
self-esteem. Yeah.
you know, all that stuff. And I think what you're doing and what I'm doing, we're both, through our movements and all the things that we do, whether it's not for profit or whatever, is we're trying to push people to be the best version of themselves and overcome their fears and make moves in their life and give off those good vibes. So we're definitely going to have you on soon. Definitely get you in-house in the studio with your crew. You got an amazing team around you. But just real quick for the people who may not know where to find you, where on social media, any upcoming events, like where can they find you, and is there anything upcoming that they should know about?
Oh yeah, I mean, three major ones is my personal. That's Maddie_Moverz, and we got Moverz itself, which is Moverz, and then just the underscores after that. I'm still trying to talk to the guy that owns the Moverz account, so he's at 00 right now, and I can't find him, so I'd love to talk to him. But and then we have STATTFest. So STATTFest is, like I said, that's our showcase for all the talent that we have.
But listen, Matt, I appreciate you coming on. I hope to have you on soon. And
Yeah.
I think that we maybe have you on in another Zoom call before this all clears up. And then especially once the things clear up, have you in the studio.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm ready to go. I want to see that new table too.
Sweet, man. I'll send you good vibes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. You too, bro. I'll catch you later.